Hey there folks, this is GreenXI, welcoming you right back to Let's Play Umineko. This is episode 93. In the last episode there was, the whole love situation between the furniture and the Jessica and George. And at the very end, Erika washed up on shore, looking at this. Also, Beatrice went to the realm of the reader, Angie, and Featherin. So, quite a bit went on last episode. Let's get cracking then. News of the Drifter, Frodo, Erika, quickly spread across Rockinjima. Erika had been welcomed in politely, and it was decided that she would be treated as a guest until the typhoon passed, same as last time. In a dining hall, Golda's wonderful dinner had ended, and everyone was relaxing and enjoying some after-dinner coffee and cheese. Coffee and cheese? Apparently, Battler was a bit relieved that Erika had come and turned into a good scapegoat. It drove away some of the attention he'd been getting piled on him for finally coming back after 6 years. In fact, she turned out to be very talkative. When the conversation turned to a sophisticated discussion of the mystery genre, even the adults were drawn in. She was apparently so well versed that even Nanjo, who had a vast knowledge of the subject, was impressed. Ah, good point. A strange family in a western mansion on an isolated island during a storm. Now that we have a detective stopping by to take shelter from the rain, we got all the major factors lined up. Have no fear. No matter how difficult the crime, I will solve it. That's a detective's job. How reassuring. It almost sounds as though you want a bizarre crime to occur. I hope I don't have to play the part of the victim. Dear, you mustn't say such things. Well, the history of the human mystery genre is only about a century old. Its tricks and ideas are limited to a few recycled patterns, so there's nothing left to show. No matter what kind of impossible crimes or closed-room murders might occur, it'll be nothing more than one of the same classes of tricks dressed up to look like something new. The only reason mysteries still make for popular books today is because self-proclaimed fans, those who worked off pieced-together knowledge and who have hardly read any of the classics, mistakenly think that a classic trick they didn't know about, through lack of proper study, is actually something new and surprising. Everyone couldn't help but gape at this imposing claim. If an aged critic had said it, that would have been one thing. But to think that a young person like this could say it so boldly. Mystery is a genre that ended a half-century ago, at least as far as I'm concerned. However, thanks to countless ignorant fools, I get to play my part as a detective. By that argument, wouldn't it mean that romance was perfected back in Shakespeare's time, so everything after that isn't worth reading? Exactly. So if you just read Romeo and Juliet, it's the same as having understood all of romance. That's ridiculous. It's not like there's any need to read more books than everyone else just for its own sake. But on the other hand, you can't be so satisfied with just a few stories like that. Sticking to classics of the past and never reading anything new is a sign of excessive nostalgia, don't you think? That sounds to me like the excuse of an old person who can't be bothered to read more. I see. I guess I'll need to read at least as much as you, or else I'd probably lose in an argument. Me? I don't read books. Battler chuckled, but Erika knew from the previous game that Battler was actually quite an avid reader, so his words felt like more of a challenge. If you're so confident in your reasoning abilities, you must be really good at quizzes and puzzles, right? Alright. Maria, didn't you bring a quiz book or something? Ooh, brought it? Realising that Erika's arrogant statement had made the atmosphere a little more tense, George smoothly changed the subject. By now, it was more than clear that she wasn't the cute guest she had appeared to be. Maria pulled a book out of her bag that had quizzes and puzzles written on it and started reading them to everyone. It looked like it might turn into a peaceful quiz party, but of course, that isn't what happened. As a credit to all her big talk, Erika managed an impressive ratio of correct and immediate answers. She took complete control, and her bragging began to escalate more and more. George slightly regretted the choice he'd made when changing the subject. She's causing us much trouble as always then. 106 matches. No need to even write a tournament chart for it. The question, how many matches would you need for a tournament with 107 teams was answered instantly by Erika. This is less of a puzzle than it is a test of knowledge. It's a formula which shows that the number of matches is always the number of teams minus 1. Well, if you just look at the example showing 3 matches for 4 teams and 7 matches for 8 teams, it should be easy to figure out the pattern. Oh, Erika, that's awesome. Erika Oni-chan, right? Say it. Oh, Erika Oni-chan, that's awesome. Really impressive. So, you don't call yourself a detective for nothing. I couldn't very well act the part of the detective if I was incapable of handling puzzles of this sort. Incredible. I'm sure you'll be able to become a real detective in the future. I'm pretty sure I already am one. The cousins all thought about the answers to the questions, but Erika always answered first. Rosa thought it was a bit rude for Erika to say the answers out loud while people were still thinking, instead of keeping them to herself. But since Erika was a guest, she decided against mentioning it. In truth, Erika was perfectly aware of this when she answered the questions instantly. Each time she would grin broadly, as though saying, "You all still haven't solved such an easy problem." A great detective like you shouldn't really need to take these too seriously, right? Good point. Even though these are just childish questions, I was getting a bit too serious. I'll take more care, so let's have the next question, please. Alright, I won't lose this time. Maria, next question. You have one large piece of cheese. A single slice with a knife can split it into 2 parts. So what's the lowest number of slices you can make to cut it into 8 parts? Oh, I know this one. So I guess I'll stay quiet this time. George, acting like the adult he was, set up a mood that would prevent people from answering right away, even if they knew the answer, in effect sending a warning to Erika. It seemed that Erika understood, and she averted her gaze, snorting derisively. To make 8 pieces, 4 slices would be enough, right? That's dumb. It would hardly be a puzzle if that was the answer. That's right. These are usually set up so that a smaller number than you'd expect is the answer. But still, how exactly could it be done? Oh, got it. You can only do this because it's cheese. True. If you tried to do it with a birthday cake, there'd be a huge fight. That's right. You might be able to do this with cheese, but you'd never cut a cake like this. It's like Professor Layton, isn't it? It's one of those riddles. Huh? All of you know the answer? Damn it, am I the only one who doesn't? Oh, I've got it. Yeah, you've got to think 3-dimensionally. Wait, even Jessica. I don't get it. What should I do? I know the answer. It's written right here. You didn't know the answer until you looked, right? Get it, Batlakun? I see. I understand it as well. This is something you can do because it's cheese. Yeah? Even Dr. Nanjo gets it? Could it be? Am I the only one who doesn't get it? I'm sure even your brain could be as flexible as cheese if we cooked it a little, Batlakun. Batla-san. It isn't something like use 0 slices with a knife and break it apart with your hands, right? Of course not. It's impossible to cut this cheese with anything other than a knife. Think of the cheese in 3 dimensions. If that's hard, it might help to draw a picture on a paper napkin. So we have one large piece of cheese, right? Then we use a knife to make 8 pieces. Can the knife only cut in a straight line? Yes, that's right. The knife only cuts in straight lines. Oh, but here's a hint. You can only cut in a straight line, but you're free to cut it wherever you want. Try thinking of a bunch of ways to stick it in. You should probably try to think out the box a bit. Show us what you got, Batlakun. You have a large piece of cheese. How many times must you cut it with a knife to make 8 pieces? You could obviously do it in 4 cuts. Could it be done in even fewer cuts than that? Our hints so far point to it being possible specifically because it's cheese. If it was a birthday cake, you really wouldn't be able to do this. Or allowed to do it. Cheese. Cheese. Something you can do because it's cheese. Oh! I've got it. I was totally tricked. This isn't something you could think up if your mind's all stiff and rigid. Seems like you finally hit on it. Hopefully it actually is the right answer. It's impossible to cut the cheese with anything except the knife, right? The knife can only cut in a straight line, right? There aren't any other rules, right? Right? Oh, not really. Alright, then that's gotta be it. Whew, that was a tough one. Almost like a riddle. You just gotta get beyond cutting straight down from the top all the time. You make 2 cuts from the top to get 4 pieces. If you keep it like that and cut across the side, splitting it into upper and lower halves, you get 4 times 2 equals 8 pieces. It's an answer you can't reach unless you think 3-dimensionally. In other words, the correct answer is 3. Huh? Really? I thought the correct answer was 1. What kind of magic did you use? There's no way in the world you could manage it with 1. This isn't a riddle, it's just a normal math problem. Huh? Oh, really? I thought of the 3-cut method right away, but I figured that was too easy, so I guess I tried to twist it too far. Battler's answer is smaller than the one in the book. Is Battler right? Yes, he is. Battler sounds right. The correct answer is 1 slice. Battler was happy that someone had confirmed his answer. However, at some point, Erika's face had lost its cheeriness. To think that a human other than myself would give the answer 1, and that it would be you, of all people. Your answer was 1 too, Erika? I guess you were also thinking out of the box. After all, it would be truly foolish to simply assume you knew what shape it was, after hearing that it was a piece of cheese. That's impossible. Only Chan got it wrong, didn't he? How could you cut it into 8 pieces with less than 3 slices? How foolish, child of man. It says to cut it into 8 pieces, but nowhere does it say that they have to be of equal size. It's still impossible. Do you cut it with something other than a knife? The rules say only the knife can cut it, and that the knife can only cut in a straight line. However, to turn it around, the rules do not say anything besides that. In fact, the shape of the cheese is never specified. I see. When you all heard a large piece of cheese, you thought of a flat cylinder, like camembert or something. I was thinking about sliced cheese, like the kind you might put on your toast for breakfast. Because, you know, full blocks of cheese you'd cut with a knife aren't something I come across that often. The shape of the cheese isn't specified in the rules. A mistake by the ones who made the book. I imagine there's a picture of a flat cylinder of cheese there in Maria San's book. Ooh, there is. Right here. As Erika had guessed, the book Maria held had an illustration of a piece of cheese that just as Erika had described it. With cheese of this shape, 3 slices really would be the correct answer. You cut in a plus pattern from the top to make 4 pieces. Then cut it from the side to double that and make 8 pieces. However, since this illustration hadn't been shown, the interpretation of the cheese had been left to the answerer. That's right. At the moment, the problem was stated. No one said anything about how the cheese was shaped or how flexible it was. Exactly. It seems that Battler Sam was the more flexible one when it comes to both brains and cheese. I don't get it. How's making it sliced cheese let you cut it into 8 parts with a single knife slice? Why not try it with that paper napkin? Pretend it's sliced cheese. It's like this. You fold it, accordion style. How many times do you need to fold it to make 8 sections? 6 times. Folded accordion style, you alternate between upward and downward folds. Once you've done this 6 times, it looks like the side of an accordion. With normal cheese, it'd break if you tried to fold it like this. But the rules say that this cheese can't break unless you use a knife, right? Yes, no problems there. After all, this is magic cheese that can only be cut by a knife. After folding it, if you start at the top and make a cut right down the middle. You're right. You'd make 8 parts. Wait a second. The parts aren't all equal this way, right? All the questioner said was to cut it into 8 pieces. They didn't say anything about them being equal. Well, if you change the way you fold it, it's possible to make them all equal sizes, but I wouldn't want to confuse you stiff-headed people with the explanation. Clever. Oh. For a while, everyone was stunned. Battler had reached a far better answer than 3 by thinking of the problem as a riddle. Erika had already known both answers, and had even spotted a mistake made by the book. The others could do nothing but stare at those two in surprise. Incredible. So we were the stiff-headed ones? What an utter defeat. We were thinking in 3 dimensions. But it looks like Battle-kun and Erika-chan were thinking in 1 dimension higher. It seems the game with the witch has toughened you up quite a lot. Puzzles without specified rules. In other words, all things not covered by the red truth are left to the observer's interpretation. It's the most basic of methods for constructing gaps in the witch's closed rooms. What are you talking about? Is that a quote from some novel? Well, let's call it that for now, shall we? Anyway, I guess this means that everyone's brains are as stiff as rock-hard cheese. Without any signs of restraint, Erika looked at everyone and laughed sarcastically. Only Maria didn't notice the venom in that laugh as she happily turned to the next page. Oh, then on to the next problem. You have 3 cups and 6 coins. Split up the coins so there's 1 coin in 1 cup, 2 coins in another cup, and 3 coins in the 3rd cup. Oh, wait a sec, that's easy. Just stick 1 coin in the 1st cup, 2 in the next one, 3 in the last one, and you're done. However, can you do the same thing with only 5 coins? Ooh. Here's another cliched problem. Don't tell me that you all need to waste several precious seconds on a problem like this. By now, Erika was gazing around with an unpleasant look, acting in a manner that was completely inappropriate both for a guest and for someone of her age. She was no longer a guest who would be staying until the storm passed. She had transformed into an annoying guest who wouldn't leave until the storm passed. Everyone thought this, but they were unable to say it aloud. Oh right, speaking of problems with coins, I've heard that picking up coins is a good way of judging someone's skill with chopsticks. Chopsticks! Yes, chopsticks, that's right. Chopsticks are the most elegant utensil on the planet. Poking things, chopping them up with forks and knives is so barbaric. Chopsticks are the best. For me, using chopsticks is truly an art. Jessica was about to say, aren't chopsticks just sticks? But stops herself, just in time. She realised that it'd be the best to let George take control for now. I have a coin here, so would you like to challenge me? I'm pretty good with chopsticks. That's right. We trained George very well with those. Indeed. Table manners are a window into one's upbringing, and Erika-san uses them quite well herself. I'll lend you some coins too. It'll probably be more fun with more of them. Jessica, watch closely and learn. Damn it. Alright, let's go. Let's see who can move the most coins over to their plate. Bring it on! Chopsticks, chopsticks, ha! So weird. This time, George had steered the conversation into a good direction. Everyone else understood, and they helped to egg on this chopstick fight and change the subject. They were fully aware by now that Erika was extremely proud of her intelligence. And apparently, she had the bad habit of using that to look down on other people. She spun her chopsticks around with the deft hand of a juggler, staring at the coins scattered on the table like a dog who had been told to stay after having a meal placed in front of it. How'd it go? Who won? The unsettling sound of the wind had now blended in with the sound of rain, mimicking the howl of some monstrous beast. Just when it seemed to be crying out sadly, it would suddenly turn to a roar and rattle the window, striking up even more fear and unease within me. Light from the hallway poured in through the thin crack of the slightly open door, and it seemed to carry with it laughter that was warm and happy, but very distant. I'm sure everyone's in the dining hall or somewhere, having a good time. I want to go there as soon as I can. I'm sure my family will be there. I hate being all alone in a place like this. Dad. Mom. I stubbornly tried again and again to get that door open, but the merciless chain just wouldn't let it open any further than that crack. On the contrary, feeling this close to a way out just made me more impatient. Gulping and trying to ignore the fear lurking behind me, I quietly closed the door. That light coming out of the crack is just a trap. An iron shackle, making it look like I'm an inch away from freedom, though that door will never actually open. A shackle trapping me in here for all eternity. I need to get out of this creepy room as soon as possible. When I closed the door, all that filled the room were the eerie sounds of wind and rain. The way the wind picked up every now and then and shook the window frame felt like a monster in a cage, shaking the bars. I was so scared of that monster, I couldn't help but avert my gaze from the window. Gotta search. If I can't get out the door, I need to find another way out. Just to the side of the door was a closet. There was only enough space inside to hang overcoats. Of course, it didn't connect to anywhere outside the room. If this were hide and seek, it'd probably be fun to hide in there. However, inside this creepy room, it'd be no better than stepping into my own coffin. If I go in there, maybe I'll find myself trapped in the closet next. This fear I didn't understand sent a massive shiver up my spine, and I closed the closet door in a hurry. There's one door left. When I opened it, there was the bath and toilet. Of course, there was no exit. There weren't even any windows. If I turned the faucet, water would probably come out, then disappear down the drain and flow outside. But I couldn't get out that way. Unless I went into the bathtub with the stopper pulled out of the drain and smashed my flesh and bone to bits. I had the feeling that this was the only way out. So the black stopper in the bathtub drain looked extremely terrifying. I tried a lot of things, both mentally and physically, but there really was no chance of me getting out through the bathroom. Next is the window. Beyond the window is a pitch black darkness. The fierce winds and rain are slamming against the glass. The darkness on the other side of the window may have been unsettling, but I didn't really care where I went, as long as it got me out of the room. However, the window was clamped shut. Right down the middle of the window, which was made to swing open like a set of double doors, were several ugly metal clamps. It was even more unnerving than the chain on the door, like a rough operation scar on some bizarre monster. The wind and rain slammed against the window frame, shaking it, making it creak loudly. However, unlike the door, this wouldn't open even a crack. I've had enough. Give it a rest already. What the hell's going on with this room? I've had enough of this creepy room. Enough, 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 enough. It's impossible to go outside except by the door and windows, and compared to that thick door, the window looks like it might be possible to break. I'll smash it. If I swing a chair at it, the glass will probably break. I might be able to smash the wooden grid that runs through these latticed windows. All I need to do is make a large gap enough to slip out of. I grabbed a fancy looking antique chair and headed back to the window. Ah! Smash it. Over and over. The glass smashed with a violent sound, and the frame groaned and creaked. Smash it, over and over. If I can just break through the wooden grid. Damn it, what the hell? Even though the glass had been smashed apart, even though the cold rain that blew in tormented me, I just couldn't get that grid to break. They weren't iron bars, it was just a slender wooden mesh. Even though it's fragile enough to make that creaking sound, why doesn't it break? No wait, maybe it's almost broken. What if I try attacking it from a different angle, instead of just smashing it head on? I stuck my left hand outside through the hole in the broken lattice window, grabbed the frame from the front with my right hand, and tried to break it by shaking it around from both sides. My left hand started to grow ice cold from the frigid winds and rain. When I shook it, fragments of glass sticking out from the broken frame poked into me, and my wrists were soon stained with blood. But if I can just get out of here, this much pain is no big deal. But I can't get out. I'm stuck. It won't open. I can't break it. The more violently I shook the frame, the more the glass fragments tore into my left wrist, causing me intense pain. Wait, what's... Ow, ow, ow. Before I realised it, the glass fragments on the frame had extended outwards. It was as though an ugly beast was trying to chew my hand off with glass teeth. It didn't just feel as though they were growing outwards. They actually were getting longer before my very eyes. And they're chewing my hand to bits. I tried desperately to pull my hand out, but it had already dug deep into my wrist, and I couldn't move it. I put all my strength into it, but it just hurt more and more, and the glass didn't even budge. What the hell? Damn it, let go, let go, let go. I hit the glass with my right fist, over and over, but that just hurt my right fist and did nothing to release my other hand. Just then, my left hand, which was still exposed to the rain outside, brushed against something slimy. What? It couldn't have been a leaf blown about by the winds or anything like that. I mean, it just felt like the touch of someone's rain-soaked hand. Then it closed tightly around my left hand. When I felt the 5 fingers, I knew that some person out in the darkness was touching my left hand. And yes, I know who it is. It's the witch. The terrifying witch who rules over Rockanjima's night. The two hands soaked in the freezing rain gently caressed my left hand. However, though I could tell what was happening by touch, I couldn't see anything out there in the darkness. Then it felt about my fingers and twisted my ring finger upwards. Oh, it's gonna break. Gah. At that moment, I saw something in the darkness for the first time. It was white. The darkness grinned and bared its white teeth. Then that mouth filled with eerily white teeth approached my finger that had been twisted up so far it was about to break, and opened wide. It must have been laughing at me from the darkness. After all, that creepy mouth was twisting upward in a huge grin. I had a horrible idea of what it might be trying to do to my finger. A shiver ran up my spine. I resisted as much as I could, but the fangs of glass just wouldn't release my left hand. And then, it gently bit my finger. Charlie! Flesh and bone were crushed and torn apart in an instant. Crunch, rip, tear, squelch, splat. Did you hear something just now? I think I heard it too. It sounded like a clunk. It's probably just the wind hitting a window. This is a beat-up old mansion after all. It's pretty creepy. When I was a brat 6 years ago, I remember spending a lot of nights all scared that the witch really was walking around the mansion. Oh, she exists. Beatrice exists. What's at the other end of this hallway? There are guest rooms there, but they aren't being used now. Yeah. After all, we have the guest house now. And until then, we would always stay in these guest rooms. I remember too. When I saw the guest house today, I was surprised at how beautiful it was. That's because it was just built. I wish I could move my own room over there. Shannon, Erika-san's room is in the guest house too, right? Yes. We have prepared a room for her in the guest house. And since the guest house is a good distance away from the mansion, no matter what kind of trouble happens, you can't hear what's going on in one from the other. You still in detective mode? Sounds like you'll all be bummed when we all wake up tomorrow and manage to say good morning to each other. True. At least one of us had better be gone by tomorrow morning. Bitch. Right? Allow me to guide you all to the guest house. The adults were apparently about to begin a conversation that they didn't want the kids to hear. The real family conference was about to start. As the kids and Erika followed Shannon on their way to the guest house, they passed through the entrance hall. Are we gonna skip the whole adults and their businesses and their money sort of talk this time? It seems like it. It seems kid-centric. Looks like it's pouring down at its hardest right now. Should we watch TV in the parlour until it dies down a bit? Mama said to go back to the guest house. We have to go or she'll get mad. Ooh. I think we'll be able to relax a lot more over there. Better than getting to see and hear our parents get all pissed at us. Looks like everything's fallen into place. Erika giggled, an openly indiscreet look on her face. I'll go get some umbrellas for everyone. Please wait here. Oh, wait a second. It's been bugging me for a while. Who's the woman in that portrait? Well, to be honest, I already know that it's Beato's portrait. Still, we only just walked past it the last game, which is no fun. Erika whispered to herself, but of course no one heard her. This is the master's benefactor, Beatrice Sama. They say she gave grandfather a vast quantity of gold, meaning that she's to thank for the Ashurmaya family's revival. She's just a witch of grandfather's delusions. Supposedly, her ghost walks the corridors of the mansion every night. Hey, quit it. That story always freaked me out when I was little, and it always made this mansion feel terrifying after nightfall. Alright, that's true. What about now, 6 years later? I'd totally forgotten, but looking at this portrait head on, I can feel that old fear coming back a bit. Oh, Beatrice isn't scary. At least, as long as you respect her. If you don't. Right, Shannon? Yes. that rumour does exist among the servants as well. Rumours about servants patrolling at night, bumping into mysterious silhouettes or gold butterflies. Yeah, was it last year or the year before? Didn't one servant fall down some stairs and get so badly injured that they quit? Wasn't there a rumour that it was Beatrice's curse? Hee. Jessica told it like a ghost story, trying to scare Erika, but Erika just laughed disdainfully. Come on, that's creepy. It was probably just an accident, right? Just a coincidence. It happened just after Grandfather had his portrait hung here, so it was probably the year before last. In fact, if I remember, this here's the staircase that servant fell down, right? Yep. After all, this insanely huge portrait really stands out. Shortly after it was put up, everyone was talking about what it might be. And then, when the accident happened shortly afterwards, people started calling it Beatrice's curse. So, these ghost stories about Beatrice started after the portrait was put on display? No. Rumours about Beatrice Hammer's ghost walking about were around even before that. However, I do think those stories grew in number after the portrait was put there. Before then, even though they had heard about the witch, Beatrice, they didn't have an actual distinct picture in their heads of what she'd be like. I imagine that this portrait made the picture distinct for them, strengthening the rumours even more. So, who started talking about this Beatrice witch in the first place? Grandfather. He'd always start freaking out and yelling, "My beloved witch Beatrice!" Though, until we saw that portrait, we had no idea what she looked like. It's no surprise that you get one or two ghost stories with a creepy portrait like this hanging around. You always find ghost stories cropping up around things like a portrait of Beethoven in the music room or the statue of the school founder. True. It wouldn't be strange for a few ghost stories to arise in an old, gloomy mansion with the sound of wind and rain present in the background for so long. Well, it's nothing more than a ghost story, a delusion, a fairy tale, with less than the useless drivel of a half-sleeping nitwit. Erika looked up at the portrait and smiled at it hostilely. As though she felt that this smile was disrespectful to Beato, Maria's face soured. Oh, Beatrice exists. If you say things like that, you'll definitely feel the curse of the witch. Oh, how frightening. Please, curse me if you can, Beatrice. So, if we find you mysteriously dead next morning, we'll notice the curtain rising on a witch's murder case. But you're a detective, right? Wouldn't killing the detective off in the beginning be a bit too radical? Oh, that would be troubling. That would get in the way of the crime scene inspection. I see. After all, even the Knox rules don't prohibit the detective being killed. I have just what you need. It's a charm that'll protect you from Beatrice's curse. A charm? You have a charm for something like that? After fishing around in her bag, Maria pulled out a string of beads attached to a medal that had a scorpion drawn on it. It looked like a cheap prize from an arcade or something. What are these? Oh, they're magic repellent charms. The effect is very weak, but if you use them, you'll definitely be able to avoid Beatrice's curse all night long. I've heard that spiderwebs are also useful for repelling magic. Oh, that's probably because Beato is the incarnation of a butterfly. Huh? Wasn't it the evil spirits of Akuji Kashima that were weak against that? Kumasawa-san knows a lot about that sort of thing. Witches and evil spirits. This is getting a bit interesting. Would you mind telling me about it in a bit more detail when we get to the guest house? Here are umbrellas for everyone. It's still raining very hard outside, so please take care. Shannon handed out the umbrellas she had brought. Everyone headed towards the exit. And then, when there were none left standing in front of the portrait, a gold butterfly appeared. It expanded out into a golden splash, becoming a human form. In the hall, empty now that the children had left, Beato stood alone and silent, looking up at her own portrait. Without a doubt, the figure depicted there was as like her as an image in a mirror. However, it felt as though its eyes and expression were just a little different from hers. From her perspective, while the person in this portrait was almost infinitely close to herself, It was just as surely a different person entirely. Who are you? Please tell me what kind of person you are. Beato had already finished reading the fragments from Featherin's library, which showed the tales of all the games so far. However, the witch called Beatrice, who had been depicted in them, had been so vastly different from her. At the very end, it had looked as though that witch and battler had connected just a little bit as rivals. But for the most part, Beatrice had just bullied and bullied Battler in nearly all of the tales. Even though this was about her, she had no idea why Beatrice had tormented Battler so much when she had supposedly been born for Battler's sake. All she had learned from Featherin's library was that the former Beato was a completely different person who defied understanding. What happened to you? I'm an egg of you. A chick. Your wings should have existed for Father's sake. Just when did you have one of those torn off and end up so drastically different? She had listened to the conversation Battler and the others had just been having. Beatrice can't handle scorpion charms. Beatrice can't deal with spider webs. She wouldn't have wanted to touch either of those by choice, but it wasn't as though anything terrible would happen if she did. Was being perfectly fine when around those. Proof that she wasn't Beatrice. Even though this involved her own self, she didn't understand at all. So she quietly gazed into her own eyes on the portrait. It felt as though the truth hid behind those eyes. Beato slowly approached the portrait, and then she lightly touched it. When she did, it felt as though the portrait rippled slightly. Yes, this is a doorway. A doorway to the long path that will lead her to the Golden Witch Beatrice. Beato felt a bit dizzy. She lost her balance, feeling as though the world was twisting around her. Then when she couldn't tell which way was up or down, she was swallowed downwards. Plunk. With a soft, watery sound, Beato was sucked into the portrait. Mario 64 style. The world inside the portrait was pitch black. However, there was nothing unsettling about it. It was a comfortable darkness, like when you put your head under the covers in bed at night. Beato realised this was a world inside herself. So, despite the darkness, she felt a warm embrace. As long as she asked for nothing, this world would ask nothing of her. But she couldn't remain like this. She didn't want to spend eternity inside the darkness of this world. Yes, I need to hatch out of my egg. This darkness is the shell surrounding the gold butterfly called Beatrice. I will be born, for Father's sake. I will be born to live for Father's sake and to serve him. She took her goal, her reason for being born, and put it in words. As if in response to those words, the seal on the shell began to melt away. Cracks appeared in the darkness and a brilliant light enveloped the world. And so, Beatrice was born. Huh? There I stood, along with another me. For a second, I thought that the me in front of me was the real Beatrice, the one I wanted to be more like. However, she was looking back at me with the same bewildered eyes, so I realised that wasn't quite it. That's right, I wasn't the only one born from that egg. She was also born. Is she my twin? No, it feels a bit different. How can I put it? Both of us are lacking something, and immature. Yes, both of us are chicks, but we are also fragments of the true Beatrice. It felt as though we could become the real Beatrice together. No one explained this to us, however, we naturally understood. I decided to talk to this other me. Unless I get to know her and become one with her, I won't be able to become the Beatrice Father desires. In other words, the thing that Father wants from me, and was so heartbroken to find missing, must be something that she has. Hello? The Beatrice with her hair down looked at me dubiously several times, then finally spoke. Why, is your face the same as my own? The true Beatrice also spoke in that manner. It looks like she really does have something I lack. Well, I don't know why either. I am the Golden Witch Beatrice. And you are? I'm also Beatrice. I was born for the purpose of serving Ashura Battler. I'm the Golden Witch and the ruler of Rockanjima's night. I know of Ashura Battler, but I have trouble imagining why I should have to serve a brat like him. I realised that the thought I'd had a second ago must have been true. Together, we really can become the true Beatrice. Though the person in front of me does have the part that makes her a witch, which I lack. She does not possess the mission to live for Ashura Battler's sake. She has what I do not, and I'm sure I have something she does not. We must be two and yet one single person. I think we're something like twins. No, that's not so. You're my little sister. I have been here since long before you were born. Is that so? I was born later. So does that mean the mission to live for Ashura Battler's sake was born later on? However, I don't think my whole existence is something quite as faint and intangible as a mission. I have enough of a personality to think and act as I am doing now. So the witch Beato and I are separate people, with both of us possessing something the other lacks. In that sense, maybe it's fitting for us to call ourselves sisters, as she says. I want to know about you. I also wish to know. I understand that you are also me. Why is it that you speak that way, and why must you serve Battler? Until we grow to understand this, it seems both of us will remain immature. I want to become a complete Beatrice. Until you were born I was complete. However, now that you have appeared, I believe that accepting you is my fate. I also wish to know about you. The witch Beato's tone was very slightly arrogant, which fitted her self-proclaimed status as the older sister. However, since we both realised that we were the same person, there was no need for her to be a bully. She probably realised that, after meeting me, her current form was no longer her real self. Where are we? Is this the hall of the mansion? Oh. Beato gasped. Her portrait wasn't there. Did that mean that this was at least 2 years in the past? Precisely. This is the hall of the Ashura mansion. The night is my time. And the nighttime mansion is mine as well. That fool Kinzo is still so desperate to catch me or revive me. How truly ironic. Here I am, openly ruling the mansion every night. So, what do you do here? I have lost my body, and due to the effects of that hateful shrine, I have no magical energy. However, my power is reviving bit by bit every day. I can't wait to eventually undergo a spectacular resurrection and have a good laugh at Kinzo. I can't wait to tell him that I've succeeded in escaping from his cage. Simply put, I'm a ghost killing time by wandering about night after night, with nothing to look forward to besides teaching that old man a lesson. May I join you? Of course. After all, you're a part of me. How could the left hand refuse the company of the right? Why should I refuse? I shall be pleased to have you, my little sister, the new Beatrice. Thank you very much. Onisama. A somewhat embarrassing name, but it's not bad. Come, let's go. Let's take a walk through the nighttime mansion. Let me introduce you to my boring everyday life. The two Beatrices changed their forms into two gold butterflies, flitting silently into the depths of the shadowy mansion. Oh, there it is then. Oh, so I've enjoyed this part. I still feel like it's building towards the actual game. Obviously, we haven't reached it yet because nobody's dead. If they are gonna die, I'm sure they will. So we'll carry on with this next time and see how the Beatrices get on. Or is it going to the guest house? I think that might be the picture used for the guest house, wouldn't it? I don't know. Anyway. So, this has been Greeny XI. Hope you've enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in a bit.